hopefully now you've got your two variables and you've got the title of the quadrants of those four different worlds, right? The job now is to come up with different ways to complete your storyline. And I'm going to show you how some of the professionals have been doing this in scenario planning. Okay, so what do you go through and include? One of the ways of doing this is called coming up with a timeline of potential events that is based on your variables. So in each of the four different quadrants, the type of events that could occur are going to be quite different from one another because you've chosen high economic growth, low level of whatever it might be, climate change. That's going to be very different to the opposite of that. So therefore the events will be different as well. Okay. And to help you with this process, you can take trends that you've already found, the data that shows what it was in, say, 2010, 2015, and in 2020, and what it's projected to be in 2030. And then around that, you come up with events that are plausibly going to happen. So let me show you some examples of this. Okay. So number one is from McKinsey. McKinsey have one of their quadrants, which is called the Rust Belt Renewal. And they took trend data, and they looked at the world in 2014 and 2030 for things like unemployment rates, the price of a barrel of oil, the average price of a gallon of milk, and so on, okay, as the diagram shows. And all of these changes have consequences on potential events that could take place. So what they do next is they project from 2015 to 2030 a whole series of plausible events in politics, in economics, in the industry that will change the nature of the business environment for that particular company in the energy industry. Okay? So this is one of the ways you can go through and start your storyline development. Let me give you other examples. And there are many examples out there of this way of creating a scenario storyline. One of the organizations I'm familiar with that's based in London and Singapore is called Forum for the Future. And their job is to go through and develop these type of storyline. And they go through and look at the tea industry. So I'm going to go through and show you three of their examples, okay, from one of their exercises. So this is scenario of the world, and they call the title of that world Storm in the Teacup, and they go, again, 2015 until 2030 of events that they think are likely based on their understanding of if those variables actually happen. Scenario 2, scenario 3 is called Greenleaf, scenario 4 is called Rebrood. You notice how each of these titles have got a link to the tea industry to make it more appealing to people to go through and understand the way that things could change. Okay? So this is called the timeline example. And exercise 3.6 is that I would like you to focus on just one of the quadrants, the one maybe in the top left-hand corner, and I want you to go through and think about the type of timeline that will happen between 2020 and maybe 2030, 2035, based on some of the things that you think would imagine could happen if there was high growth, high whatever else, but the top left-hand quadrant, I'd like you to spend about 20 minutes in your groups trying to go through and flesh out some of those events.